Number 2, does the equation y equals 3 over 2x minus 5 show a direct variation? Why or why not? So the equation that goes with direct variation is y equals kx. That means it will go through the origin. This equation is in the form of y equals mx plus b because I have that extra number at the back of the equation. If I didn't have that minus 5, that would be direct variation because I just have a constant or a slope and it would only go through the origin. That part makes it cross the y-axis at a -5. So my answer would be no, because this line crosses the y-axis at -5. Number 3, one brand of motorcycle oil uses oil to gasoline ratio as shown in the graph. The amount of oil that should be added varies directly with the amount of gasoline. Write a direct variation equation that describes the relationship. Use your equation to determine the amount of oil that should be added to 6.5 gallons of gasoline. So a couple of times in here they said varies directly or write an equation that has direct variation. So they are telling me to use this equation, y equals kx, so it is proportional. I can see that on the graph also because it's linear through the origin. Now, I need to go and fill in my constant. So I have a lot of different options to get my constant. I can just do a y value divided by its x value for an ordered pair, or since I have a graph, I could do rise over run. So I'm going to do this rise over run first. I can use these 2 points because they're already plotted for me. So from a point, you draw a line that goes straight up and straight over, making a right triangle. Then you're ready to count. You just have to see what they were counting by. This side goes from 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So I'm counting by 2s. But on the bottom, in between 0 and 1, it's split up. So it's actually counting by halves down here. Okay, so for my rise, I have to count 2, 4. For my run, I'm counting by halves. So I say a half, 1. These are both positive because up is positive and right is positive, and I can see this line is moving up left to right. So I would reduce 4 divided by 1 to just get that my slope, or the constant of that line, is 4. A shorter way that you can do this is I would just name a point, like this one right here. I can see it's labeled at 2, 8. So if I write out that point, 2, 8, and label the x and the y, we have said over and over to get the constant, you just divide the y value by the x value. So if I divide that 8 by 2, I can see the constant is 4. So there's a different way you can do it. Now, the next part of this problem said to use your equation to determine the amount of oil that should be added to 6.5 gallons of gasoline. Okay, they're giving me a number. If I go ahead and try to find 6.5 gallons, I see that gallons is on the x-axis. This graph doesn't quite go to 6.5. So I know some of you try to extend it and draw some more of it, but since I have an equation that represents that line and gallons is on the x-axis, I just need to plug in this number for that variable x, since it says gallons on the x-axis. So I'll do y equals 4 times 6.5. Okay, so the amount of oil that they need is 26 ounces.